We have to start today with yet another defeat or failure for the so-called anti-woke movement. It's really important to understand that all of these folks in the current American right wing who insist that America is embroiled in a culture war around which apparently the survival of the country depends, which I don't believe for a second. One of the things that they will rarely, if ever, admit is that the war is extraordinarily one-sided in the sense that it is the retrograde right wing that has chosen to fight these battles, and it has been the left having no choice but to react and say, hey, the things you're asking for don't make sense. The battles you're choosing to fight are battles that we now have to get involved in, not because we want to, but because you are trying to discriminate and under the law create multiple tiers of people and so on and so forth. But they are suffering defeat after defeat. I told you earlier this week that the Tennessee anti-drag bill has been blocked. It does appear to violate the First Amendment. We talked about a new Gallup study that finds that support for gay marriage is as high as ever in the United States. The Utah book ban has backfired and actually led to the Bible being banned, and even the Book of Mormon is now being looked at to say, hey, wait a second, if we're banning sexual and violent content, don't these books also have to be banned? So it has been failure after failure after failure. And we now have yet another defeat. A federal judge has blocked Florida's ban on gender-affirming care for minors in a narrow ruling and has stated gender identity is real. The Associated Press reports, saying gender identity is real. A federal judge temporarily blocked portions of a new Florida law that bans trans minors from receiving puberty blockers, ruling Tuesday that the state has no rational basis for denying patients treatment. They have many irrational bases, but no rational basis. This is a preliminary injunction from Judge Robert Hinkle, who says 3 trans kids can continue receiving treatment. The lawsuit challenges the law that Governor Ron DeSantis signed the same week he announced a run for president. Hinkle said the elephant in the room should be noted at the outset. Gender identity is real. The record makes this clear. Despite the defense admissions, there are those who believe that cisgender individuals properly adhere to their natal sex and that trans individuals have inappropriately chosen a contrary gender identity, male or female, just as one might choose whether to read Shakespeare or Grisham. This is extraordinarily important. Now, we've talked about so many different aspects of this. And of course, this is only a preliminary injunction, or as Mike Pillow says, a preliminary injunction. Regardless of how you say it, this is only a preliminary injunction, and it's possible that the law may be upheld. I want to talk about the religious component here with many of these issues, because when we talk about the abortion bans, the attempts to ban gay marriage, the attempts to justify discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity, often there are religious justifications that are cited. Now, we could talk about how these anti-woke positions aren't actually the most popular positions. There's all sorts of things we could talk about, but because we've done that already, let me briefly address the religious component to this. We often see defenses or justifications for these laws on religious grounds. And when I say religious grounds, I'm talking about Christianity. And when I say Christianity, I'm mostly talking about evangelical Christianity. That's the strong religious movement in this country that is pushing most of this anti-woke stuff. I am wondering whether it would be interesting to fight some of these laws on the basis that they violate the religious beliefs of others. I'll give you an example. According to Jewish law, human life begins at birth, not at conception. It begins at the first breath. The majority of foundational Jewish texts say a fetus does not attain personhood until birth. So Judaism does not consider that life begins at conception, but rather at the moment of delivery. Could I or any other Jewish person sue saying that anti-abortion bills violate their religious beliefs? This has been mentioned before, and it would be an extraordinarily interesting path to approach, to approach fighting some of these laws. Now, similarly, we can look at gender identity. In many Jewish belief systems, it is recognized that there are 6 distinct genders, including male, female, and intersex identities. Reform Judaism advocates for transgender justice, affirms the value of all people regardless of gender identity. Now, of course, you could find Orthodox Judaism, which would have a different view. But is there not an argument to be made that these anti-trans laws of all kinds, whether it comes to gender-affirming care, or whether it comes to pronouns, or whether it comes to bathrooms, or whatever the case may be, violates the religious beliefs and practices of many Jewish movements, groups of Jews, sects maybe they would be called? I think that there is something here, and I know it's been mentioned in passing by some rabbis. If they are going to go the religious direction with this, I would like to explore fighting them on the same grounds. It's not going to be me necessarily as a non-religious person. I consider myself, culturally, ethnically, and culinarily Jewish, for lack of a better term. But this really should be looked at. And if we want to find a silver lining in this entire cultural war that the right has unleashed upon the country, it's that they don't actually seem to have the majority of the country on their side, and also that they don't seem to have the law on their side when it comes to what they're pushing.